Listen, do you ever dream of doing something game-changing? Then Visa can help make it happen. It could be running a stiff arm clinic from your own backyard and getting paid on the spot, or a live stream dance class of the best touchdown celebrations, or giving custom team logo haircuts at tailgates. Just think back to Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, and the game he had pretty much on one leg, changing his legacy and the Chiefs' fortunes all in the process. Point is, however you want to change the game, Visa has the power to help. Visa, proud sponsor of Super Bowl 57.
This is the Athletic Football Show.
Welcome to the Athletic Football Show. I'm Robert Mays. Joining me tonight is my good friend Nate Tice. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I think the last time I was this close to you was when we were at the 2020 draft, the 2021 draft, and we were snug in that hotel room doing a live stream. So here we are. We're in separate chairs this time, at least.
A couple steps forward, a couple steps back.
Yes,
this is
exactly.
really the only option. We're recording this live from the Super Bowl. We
Yes,
are
we are.
in a makeshift little party lounge area next to the stands. I don't really know how to describe it, but this is what we got for you guys if we're going to bring it to you live from the game. And we really, really wanted to bring it to you live from the game because it's fantastic to be here, especially when you get a game like that.
It was amazing. I mean, I'm glad
It's your first one.
It's my first one, and we knew it would be a good one. So that's why it lived up to the hype. There was ebbs and flows with the game. There was great play from both quarterbacks and the other players stepping up, which is what we wanted.
Yes.
And that's what we were hoping for in the preview show. That's why we spent all that time hoping like this guy might be the X factor. This guy might break out. And it kind of happened. And also this kind of stars were starry in this game. But no, I'm so glad it was this one I went to. Maybe not the tail end at the end of the game, but for the first 58 minutes, it was, a memorable game. You quoted me. That was a legit quote for anyone that saw Robert's tweet that said, I freaking love football. I love this game. This is awesome.
You said to me straight out, I can't remember what, I think it was after the Chiefs scored to go up 28-27.
Yes.
And you looked at me and you said, this is fucking awesome. I love football.
Yes.
That's all
straight
you
face.
said.
And I wasn't even trying to be funny or anything. I just said straight face. I think it was Tony's touchdown. It was Tony's touchdown. It was just, God, you could just feel the ebbs and flows of this game, especially when it's like a neutral site like this. So you hear both crowds, a little more Eagles fans.
It was a good crowd, though.
Yes.
It was a good crowd.
Into
there was
it.
a reaction to everything
Yes.
that happened. It was a very fan-heavy crowd. There were more Eagles fans, but there were more Chiefs fans here than I thought there were going to be. The right side where we were facing, we were in the south end zone. The right side had a decent amount of Chiefs fans.
Yep.
So I was pretty happy with how the crowd was. This is where I saw my first Super Bowl, which is now 8 years ago. And we were also sitting in the end zone. Some of the craziest plays in NFL history happened in that end zone. Malcolm Butler interception.
Right.
We got another classic, and an absolute classic that unfortunately, in my opinion, was dampened at the end.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear about what I mean by that. I'm not saying that the Chiefs got the game handed to them or the refs gave the game to the Chiefs or it's not justified. The game is 80 plays long. There's so many different moments to put yourself in a position to win or lose. It's just unfortunate that a game like that turned on a game-deciding penalty that came in that moment where you heard me say it out loud. I was looking at you. I was like, "There's going to take two knees and end this."
Yeah.
It's just such a deflating way for an potentially all-time great game to happen.
Yeah.
If that's an incomplete pass, they kick a field goal. We get to see Jalen Hurts have to drive down the field and give the Eagles a chance to win. That's all I wanted from that moment, and that was taken from us. And that's why it's a bummer to me.
Especially right before we had the Mahomes scramble. So it's like,
Yes.
he had his hero moment.
Yes.
And that's what you want. They changed the playoff rules and the overtime rules for this moment because you want both teams to get a chance, especially when quarterbacks are playing like this, to both get chances. And that's what it is. Hurts played so amazing tonight. He played so well that you want to just see him get a fair shot. Just a fair shot.
Yeah.
And that's I totally agree. I tweeted that was the first 58 minutes was the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, and then the season 8 was the
That's
last
so
2
true.
minutes, or the last
Bran.
Sopranos episode. Yeah, that was the Bran game.
Yeah,
that's how it felt. That was the Bran.
Harrison Butker didn't have the best story, so he did not deserve to be the winner of the Game of Thrones, in my opinion, based on how that went.
That's exactly it. He was not meant to be the king, the king in the land.
That game, the way that game is played, it is not supposed to end on two knees and a field goal when you Jerick McKinnon slides at the 1 yard line
No.
to run the timeout. It's just not supposed to end that way. And that's why I'm so bummed.
And that McKinnon play happened right in front of us. I actually, for a split second, thought he was about to score.
I was really hoping he was going
hauling
to.
ass, and I was like, go down. You can see the entire Chiefs sideline walk onto the field going like, no. And then he went down. I think he looked at everybody like, I got it, guys. Like, yeah, no, I knew what to do there. I'm a pretty smart guy. But no, and that also happened. So many plays happened towards us, which is a lot of fun too. It wasn't like
the AJ Brown touchdown was in our end zone. Another deep shot to AJ Brown was in our end zone.
Jalen Hurts deep ball, except for the Devontae Smith one, were towards us.
Well, the Devontae Smith one that went incomplete was to our sideline. Yes. I called that immediately that it was incomplete. By the way, nice. I was immediately like, that's definitely incomplete.
Yep.
The Dallas Goedert whole shot, which we'll get into, all that stuff was coming at us. So we got a lot of action headed our way. So the first thing I want to talk about here, obviously, the way that it happens isn't ideal at the end, but it's still an incredible performance and an incredible game. Patrick Mahomes just won his second Super Bowl in 4 years. Mm-hmm. He is 27 years old. And this is what happens when you continuously put yourself in that position. Sometimes the breaks aren't going to go your way. Sometimes the breaks are going to go your way. And in that moment, the break went his way, and he was phenomenal tonight. Yeah. If you look at the stats, the Chiefs averaged 6.4 yards per play against a team that finished number 1 in the NFL in EPA, I believe number 1 in passing DVOA,
yes,
correct?
1 or 2.
Right there,
but they're
top 2.
Top 3 in every metric.
Chiefs averaged 6.4 yards per play. That was better than what they did in the regular season when they led the league. And the Eagles averaged 5.8 yards per play, which is what they averaged in the regular season. So these two teams that were the best teams in the league, we got to see that version of them. And that included the guy who is going to win the MVP and is the best quarterback alive.
Yes. And just another check onto his resume, another addition. This is better than an internship though on his resume. Yeah. This is a CEO type of a line in his resume. Also, he had Mahomes was 67% pass success rate tonight, which is one of the highest, his second highest of the season. The only game that was better was that Cardinals game in week 1 when they just were playing on air, routes on air, not the Super Bowl. 20 of those 30 dropbacks were successful plays. No sacks for Mahomes. And I mean, there's so many times you could tell.
What do you think was just watching that game in real time?
Yeah.
What do you think led to their ability to mitigate the pressure?
Yeah, under center play action stuff to create some space. I also thought Mahomes was very cognizant. He knew he was going against.
He averaged 2.69 year time to throw in the game, but I think that there were some extended dropbacks. Yeah. So if you look at, I'm sure that half of them were under 2.5 seconds.
I agree.
Also,
especially in the first half.
Intentionally in the first half, I'm pretty sure they started 2 drives with screens.
Yeah.
And so I think that they were trying to slow it down a little bit. And then in the second half, I think one of the ways they slowed it down is how well they ran the ball. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think they did do a good job of being like, all right, how can we slow this thing down, give ourselves a little bit more time? Because we talked about it in the preview. If the Eagles pass rush didn't dominate the game, would the Chiefs be able to throw the ball consistently? And the answer was yes.
Yes. And it kind of saw the peppering, and anyone that listened to our gambling show with Bauer, that was kind of my narrative for his over completions. He didn't hit it, but he was still just, knifing the defense in different ways, RPOs, the play actions, the straight dropbacks, kind of, and hitting every type of throw, which was really cool. Always fun to see a quarterback do. You see the dig, especially in person. That's another thing. I forget sometimes when I watch these guys in person in the game, I get a new appreciation for some guys. AJ Brown, number 1 guy I got a new appreciation for. I love the guy, and I'm like, he's incredible to watch in person. But he was very. It was a game plan.
Yeah.
He 1, 2, 3 ball out, 1, 2, 3 ball out. There wasn't a lot of Mahomes scanning, which he could do once in a while. It was ball out, or he went to creation mode. And man, he avoided a lot of sacks. I was kind of bummed when the ankle. When he got hit twice in a row.
It was a scary moment.
You
really hope that doesn't torpedo the game, and that it was shaping up to be an amazing game.
Yes, and so it just was. There was a great game plan. Really, there's only a couple times, and I can't wait to rewatch this game on film, of course. I mean, it's much better than week 16 or week 18, Bucks Falcons like I did last time, or Bucks Cardinals. But I want to see how they pass off the games with the defensive line, because I thought the offensive line did a nice job, other than the one with the Reid got around or
there
loop.
But there was a 3rd and 8 in the first half. I believe it was the only real 3 and out kind of sputtered moment that the Chiefs had in the first half. They missed the field goal, obviously, but I believe it was 3rd and 8. And they ran up that 5 down front where they line up Reddick as a defensive tackle.
Yes.
And then he loops all the way around.
And you said it. They do it every time out of that.
Every time they're in that 5 down look where he's inside, they do it. They got 2 sacks. I literally watched every Eagle sack from the season.
All 7.
They got 2 of them on that exact sort of design.
Yeah.
And that was really the only time that they used any sort of games or any sort of trickery to get immediate pressure.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs line kind of knew what they were going against. And it was a great game plan. This is Andy Reid. He's very good at this. They ton of tight ends. I mean, I think they're in 11 personnel, less than 50% of the game, which, we've talked about going into this year that their numbers have gone down going into this game, a lot more 12 and 13 personnel. We saw pony personnel. So they played off a lot of season tendencies. This is what happens when you have a head coach that just gets to do this, knowing that you're kind of going to win 10 games and make the playoffs every year. You can kind of play off season tendencies, and that's what they did, doing the pony personnel, using McKinnon on run plays on 3rd and 1.
I'm
getting excited.
So just zooming back a second here. Yeah. I'm looking at the Jumbotron right now. Okay. And there is the Lombardi Trophy next to Patrick Mahomes, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, this entire group.
Yeah.
To win 2 this early in your career, again, when we've talked about this in the previous show, when you are the centerpiece of your team, when you are the driving force, and Brady got very important pretty quickly. Year 3, year 4, when they were going back, but 1, he was a cog in the machine that existed. They were 14-point underdogs when they won that Super Bowl.
Right.
What Mahomes has done and the prominence that he has had in the league, on the Chiefs, within their success, we've really never seen anything like it.
Nope.
The one guy that got brought up this week, I can't remember who it was, in terms of individual success very early on. Favre was really good.
Yeah.
Favre was like an MVP candidate pretty early in his career after getting to Green Bay.
Yep.
But they didn't win a Super Bowl until year 6 for him. Yeah. Right? Wasn't it the 96 season?
Yeah. So in year
95 season.
Yeah.
It was the 95 season.
Yeah. So in year 4, I think.
No, 96. 96 season, 97, 98 with the Broncos.
They beat the Patriots in 96, and in 97 they lost to the Broncos.
Yes.
So yes.
So it's
guys remembering dudes right now.
what we're watching, I have never watched.
No.
And it's important sometimes, in my opinion, to kind of step back and remember that. And just because when you have this team, when you have these sorts of teams, and the only real comparison for me is what the Patriots were over 2 decades, it's so easy to just kind of take it as a given and start taking it as a given. And we shouldn't do that. We should step back and recognize the fact that what they've accomplished is unbelievably special. The type of player he is unbelievably special. Travis Kelce is a part of that. Andy Reid is a part of that. Like everything about what this organization has been, I think it's worth kind of sitting in it for a moment, because we don't see this very often.
Or ever.
Yes.
Or ever. We did the discussion last week, and I brought up Marino because he had instant success. They had successful as a team early in his career, but then they kind of never went back, throughout his career, some playoff runs and all that. But this feels just automatic with Mahomes. And now we have talked about this. What's really cool about teams that sustain success is the ever-changing supporting characters.
Yes.
Sometimes it's usually, it's just the coach and the quarterback, that the ones that stay, the Sean Payton and the Drew Brees, the Belichick and the Bradys. But you hear those names that I'm bringing up right now? The Brees, Brady, Mahomes, and Mahomes is winning. And again, that's the thing. It's not just the numbers test, and it's not just the team success. It's not one or the other. Again, that was always the Brady and the Manning arguments. Now he's doing all of it. I mean, he's got all pros. He's got Pro Bowls. He's winning another MVP. It's just, he's just racking it up, and he hasn't even hit 30 years old yet, or even coming close. It's truly unprecedented. I mean, in a lot of sports, like Gretzky might be the one who had this kind of sustained success early, and I'm just
hockey.
going. Yeah, I know. I'm going to other sports.
Nice.
You go to this. Football is 22 players on the field. You don't see players dominate in football like this, just over and over in the biggest moments too. That scramble is going to stick out in my brain the rest of my life, because
out of 1 foot again,
he even peeked behind.
At one point in the game.
That was him right then and there. It's just that in those big moments, he makes the plays. He puts the team on his back. How many times have we seen him do that? 2 minutes. He had a great one against the Chargers this season when you could tell he was like, I got this. And he would look to scramble. And then he's just peppering balls all over the yard. He's hitting different receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster is becoming a huge player throughout the game. It's not just Kelce. You always see him figure out what the defense is doing to him. Yeah. And it's really cool to see a guy always find the answers. And it's amazing. I mean, he's incredible. He's the best player I've ever seen.
Before we move on to kind of the nitty-gritty of the game, I do want to take a second to step back and appreciate the quarterback on the other side.
Yes.
And what he was today. What did you say to me when we were sitting up there near the end of the game about Jalen Hurts?
I said more than one thing can be true. Did he have help from some of his teammates? Yeah, a lot of good players do. But did he carry the team for stretches, for chunks of this game? Yeah, he truly did. He truly was the best player on the field for a long stretch of this game on his side of the ball. And but I mean, you watch it. It's Deontay Lee brought up a great point. He goes, it's almost like a college offense. And he doesn't mean that in a bad way, but in the sense that where the quarterback's the best player.
Yeah.
So it's having touched the ball 100 times and just go, run the ball, throw the ball. That's
We
what it
set
feels
the
like.
record for quarterback rushes in a Super Bowl, quarterback rushing yards in a Super Bowl. Not a ton of quarterbacks that are built like him.
No,
that
no,
contribute to
and
the
that
game
can
like
do
him
that.
made the Super Bowl, but it's still what he was in this game. We've never really seen a quarterback do that in the Super Bowl.
There's a couple of like no, yes throws, but then there was a couple. I mean, real throws of brilliance. Like he had a couple movement throws, even that were incomplete. He had one that he was scrambling to his left. He misses Devontae Smith barely.
Almost
For a
makes
split second, I went from our angle. I was like, that's gonna be a complete.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. But he did that over and over, truly carrying this team for stretches because he at times wasn't getting help from either other parts of the offense.
in the first half, I mean, a huge part of their game plan was just getting it empty and letting him go to work as a runner.
Right.
And the first drive, they were an empty on the second down. The Chiefs are playing man. He scrambles for a first down. They were really going to it a lot in third, fourth down situations, running either design draw RPOs, design runs. That touchdown where Kelsey pulled was a design quarterback run. And then the two-play stretch, the two plays that are going to jump out to me, when I think about Jalen Hurts in this game, was one drive in the second half. It was a third down where he hits Dallas Goedert on the big over route on like 3rd and 8 and just puts it pinpoint. Really good coverage. I think it was by Justin Reid.
Yes.
And it was a beautiful throw. And on that same drive, 3rd and 14, he hits the whole shot to Dallas Goedert down the sideline. He makes that throw. You and I were looking at each other. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, that is a ballsy throw.
It was so ballsy. It was a sinking corner against cover two.
It was cover two.
Against cover two. That was the no. But then at first I was like, oh, he got away with it. But then you watch it, it's like, no, that's just amazing ball placement.
Really, really good
and it's
throw.
going to the right
AJ Brown would have got away with.
Yes.
But you give the guys a chance.
The AJ Brown touchdown, because we had a great angle at it. It's a heavy play action shot. But on that play, I watched it on film. Like, he's not throwing to AJ Brown. And I saw him tilt that shoulder up as here it comes. That's going to get picked. And AJ Brown makes a great play as well.
McDuffie misplayed it, but AJ Brown made a great play to respond and somehow adjust that ball in midair.
It makes sense. AJ Brown was a fantastic baseball player.
Yeah,
how well he tracks the ball. Only second player other than Kyler.
That's such a new skill set that we've never seen him do before. Even that play, when it happened, I was like, God damn, AJ Brown is just a different sort of player than we all thought he was coming into the season.
When we say this, there's several times today where you see AJ Brown catching under routes or slants and just carrying a guy. They're bouncing off him. That's AJ Brown. That in my head, that's what he is. And then so seeing him this season, this is what we keep reiterating. Him as a ball tracker and as a deep ball threat has been a revelation. It's been so much fun to watch this year because he's incredible. He's so explosive.
When you see him in person, he feels different. The other guy, the receiver I always talk about when you see him play in person or when you watch him in practice, whatever, is Julio. Like Julio's physicality, it's just like the ground shook when you watched Julio Jones.
A blaze out by Julio is like a eighth wonder of the world.
I mean, I was at that NFC Championship game in 2016 where I was like, oh my God. This is like, I literally said it's like watching a centaur play football. It's unbelievable. And AJ Brown was kind of in that, but I also have a different appreciation watching Jalen Hurts play.
I agree.
I've never seen him play live. It's the first time. And I was like, man, I'm really excited for what he could potentially be, what this Eagles team is going to be. It's a young team. We'll get into all of this, but I think as an Eagles fan, as devastating as that ending is, and as much as you could have won this game, it's just sitting right there. You can reach out and touch it. I still think you have to be so proud of the team you had this season and what your core looks like here moving forward.
Yes, even with some guys getting a little older, but that's this. They've really restocked the cupboard with this team. And with Hurts, I agree with that. With watching him in person, there were several times he ran. I would always say Hurts is a very good runner in the sense, but he's different than how Lamar runs and everything. He runs almost like Culpepper in a way, but he's better than Culpepper running the ball because the big run after he had the fumble on the same. They came back to the same draw play that you're talking about. He set up the block, and he's cutting, and his vision is a lot better than I have given it credit for. I knew it was good, but it's even better than I gave it credit for. And it's cool to watch that in person because he's creating yards. Those are the hidden yards that good players create. And that's what Jalen Hurts did this game. It's time and time again. And at the end, he gets a sneak touchdown, and then they run the QB sweep with him. He runs through 3 tackles.
The power on that play.
I mean, those are real. Carl Loftus was one of the guys. Carl Loftus is big and strong, 260 and a thick guy. And he ran right through him and scores. And that's true grown man strength, true vision. And on top of it, he threw 8 balls today that were exceptional throws.
All right, we're going to take our first quick break, and when we get back, we are going to talk about a masterful performance from Andy Reid.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. I've certainly done some hiring here at The Athletic, and I can speak from experience in saying that half the battle is just getting to the right people before you even start the interview process. LinkedIn Jobs certainly makes that easier. All you have to do is add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/maze. That's linkedin.com/maze, MAYS, to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
When we work together, impossible things aren't so impossible. In fact, they become possible. That's why 75% of Fortune 500 companies work together using Atlassian software like Jira, Confluence, and Trello to tackle their biggest challenges. With a little imagination and a whole lot of collaboration, the possibilities really do become endless. Atlassian, for projects impossible alone.
All right, it's time now for the Visa game-changing moment presented by Visa, proud sponsor of Super Bowl 57. The game changer today was Andy Reid, in my opinion. I mean, just so many little wrinkles, levers that made this thing easier on his quarterback, on his offense. And where do you even want to start with some of the things that the Chiefs threw out there today?
It's kind of nice because the Chiefs didn't actually run that many plays. So since the Chiefs didn't run that many plays, you kind of remember some of the good ones. The second half, when they came out and how the diversity of the run game from the Chiefs in the second half was like, oh man, they're feeling it. They know exactly what they're going to like in the second half, how they attack the Eagles defense. Sorry, there's somebody behind us, everybody.
We're good.
But in the first half, seeing all the jet motion and the short motion, me and you right away, it was so apparent that the Chiefs were they're poking at stuff. They were testing the cage, the Velociraptor cage. They were testing this jet motion, the short motions, and then the plays off of that came in later in the game. And I mean, the epitome of that is the Tony touchdown, the Sky Moore touchdown.
Yeah,
because that was set up throughout the entire game. And then they got it in the perfect opportunities right there in the low red zone.
It was Kelsey early, right? So they were setting things up for Kelsey early. And I'm looking at this without a ton of notes because we have one computer here. It's a little different than our normal setup. But
I've handwritten the notes, everybody.
So the way that I remember it is there was the play early in the first half where they were in I believe a 2x2 formation. They ran a jet motion, and then Kelsey ran a crosser, just like a big crosser, and the Eagles lost it.
Yeah.
It was a big completion on a crosser. Then on the same drive, they motioned into a short motion into a stack, and that was the Kelsey touchdown. It was a little out and up sort of wheel. They put him in a stack. Epps had to play off of him. Kelsey chews up that space, leaves him one-on-one touchdown. Later in the first half, another play where jet motion from a 2x2 formation, they leave Kelsey as the single receiver on the left side. He fakes the big over and then takes it back across, and TJ Edwards is just lost.
Yeah.
So consistently, they're using either jet motion to change whether it's 2x2, 3x1, or a lot of short motion consistently in that game where they're motioning into stacks. They're changing who's the number one receiver, who's the number two receiver
on that side
very quickly before the play.
Yeah.
And just, again, almost every single play, it felt like using either a kind of big grand motion to get something done or something subtler to just kind of play with the rules of that Eagles defense, which they clearly were very in tune with.
Yes.
Very in tune.
They had you should watch in this game. Anyone who rewatches it back or sees it on NFL Network in 2 or 3 years, when you rewatch it, you'll see how many times Mahomes is killing plays and going, we're good, which they always do. But there was a whole lot of it in this game because they were going, are you a man? You in zone? Okay, we're doing this to beat that play or beat that coverage. And they did it time and time again. The jet motions on top of it, they were doing split zone, which is where a tight end crosses the formation to kick out the DN. All this, I think everybody and their mother knows what the weakness, the one kind of sort of weakness of this Eagles defense is the linebackers. And how do you influence them? All right, let's cross their face, make them communicate, make them pass stuff off. Oh, wow. When formations change, formation strengths change, some defenses have a check. If it's a trips call or if it's a 2x2 call, if it's a pro formation call, So when you're doing it, all those jet motions, all those Kelsey motions, that's what they're doing. They're making them communicate. And I saw the Chiefs were breaking the huddle very early, like 26 seconds, 27, because they wanted to get in and see what the Eagles were, and then get to the play that they wanted to do. But the run game was amazing. That first drive of the second half, I think they ran 5 different run concepts, and we've talked about how the Eagles will spam just one concept, so it's pretty cool to watch a run game without using the quarterback into design rushes. They're running trap, they're running wind back, they're using the pony personnel on the touchdown to Pacheco. Just really, really good stuff. All kind of playing off stuff they've shown before, stuff that's their bread and butter, but then the change ups off of it.
So you mentioned the split zone, the jet motion with the split zone, that chunk run for Pacheco on the first Chiefs drive. That's what that was.
Yes.
And then you mentioned just all of the different designs that they were using in the second half. Look at the numbers. The Chiefs averaged 0.24 EPA per rush on running back runs in this game. 19 carries for 110 yards, 52.6% success rate, 2.5 yards before contact per rush. I mean, that's
a real good day on the ground.
I think the Eagles on the season averaged 0.12 EPA per rush.
Yeah.
So that's twice what the Eagles did, and they were the most efficient running team in the NFL. That's what the Chiefs.
What was the success rate? It was 57%, 52.6%.
Yeah. Yep.
So Eagles hovered around 50% this year, and we've mentioned it a million times. They were one of the best run offenses in the last 20 years. And the use of personnel, we kind of figured that was kind of one of the things I figured that Andy Reid would get to, because getting into heavier personnel groupings on offense, using 2 or 3 tight ends, kind of can make the Eagles defense a little more basic. Also, you can kind of make them more predictable, and you could see that just playing to Andy Reid's wheelhouse. The 3rd and 1 big run to Pacheco at the end. This is one that you had to cut me off. You had to slow me down on. So the 3rd and 1 at the end. So Pacheco gets it. The fullback's name Bolton. Chiefs.
Michael
Burton.
Yeah.
So Burton, the Chiefs do this all the time. You'll see Burton get 1 carry like every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's always in a short yard situation where they have him as an up back. They do some window dressing in the back, and then they hand it off on a little dive play on the inside. So they look like that. You can see all the Eagles players getting tight, and they're like, "Oh, this is it. We know what's coming here." They've already used their change-ups and their funky stuff. Instead, they had Burton seal the edge, and then they kicked it outside, and that's why Pacheco was able to just gash him on the outside. There's nobody out there for him. It's essentially what the Eagles do on their sneak plays when they do the little pitch off of it. That's basically what they did. It's a Chiefs version of that. But that's the run game. Andy Reid's known as like the passing game college concept wizard.
But that was the difference with this team.
Yes.
That's
the story of the Chiefs season.
What are the key tweaks with this Chiefs team?
Yeah.
It's Orlando Brown pulling. It's Trey Smith pulled on the touchdown when they were in pony personnel, which we can talk about in a second.
Yeah.
It's all of those gap scheme runs that we thought they might incorporate last year that we can bludgeon you with a hammer version of the Chiefs. It came a year later than we expected, but it came at the exact right time because it allows them to be this version of that team in this moment against a team built like the Eagles.
Yes.
This felt like something we talked about so much last season, where can you win in different ways? Can you be a team that runs when you need to run? And the Chiefs couldn't really do that. It was all RPOs in that game against the Bengals. And you've talked about this a lot. When they're giving it to you, can you just hammer it over and over and over again? And that first drive of the second half was exactly that.
Yes.
But when you're talking about the Chiefs, you're still going to have the second makes our brains pop a little bit. And both of those red zone touchdowns were the perfect example.
That's
of that.
awesome.
So I think there was a little bit of chatter like in our row.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, well, why is he so wide open? Explain why those 2 red zone touchdowns, the one to Moore and the one to Tony, are so wide open and what the Chiefs are trying to accomplish on those plays.
So typically in zone or in man coverage, depending on what the call is, when there's a jet motion, if it's zoned, the Eagles would rock and roll their safeties, which is one safety who's in the post, comes screaming down to cover the jet guy, and the guy that was on the corner of the safety that was on that side goes to the back. But in man coverage, which was the Eagles were in down there in the low red zone, they have to pass it off. Somebody has to run with the jet sweep. Somebody. How the Eagles go about it is either the first one, the Kadarius Toney touchdown, Avonte Maddox would be running with the jet guy, and then someone would be on Travis Kelce, I believe, was on that side as well. So they're faking that they're running across, and Kadarius Toney is very, very athletic and very fast. So those guys have to haul a lot of ass. So that's what they're worried about. Oh, we don't want to get beat here. We got to go make this tackle and save a touchdown. And it ends up working against them because that would just pop right back. I just think it's just the mad genius of, I'm going to use genius here, but the mad genius, mad scientist of Andy Reid is doing the exact same play with the exact same formation, but just flipping it and then using a different guy, using Sky Moore on that one.
And I think Kelsey was on that side.
Yep.
So you're worried about, okay, is it now Kelsey's number one receiver, and
Yep.
what does that mean? But on the other one, it's just Juju and Sky Moore on that
That's it.
second touchdown.
Yep.
So what Reid, Bieniemy, the entire offensive staff, and just that little lab that they go into over these 2 weeks before this
Yes.
sort of game, I always love to see it. It's
Yeah.
like, what buttons do they know they can push?
Yes.
And all kinds of those motions were exactly right.
But both of these teams, and I'll credit the Eagles here too. The second half, Devontae Smith had that wide open touchdown. These are in the NFL. It's a game of split seconds, and just, that's what the NFL game of inches is. You try to compound mistakes, and the Eagles do it. They use tempo. They get a first down. You're in dime personnel. Okay, we're on tempo. Run a simple play, and we beat you. We gash you. It caused a coverage bust. What the Chiefs do is with the design stuff, they're playing off their rules. They're using the rules against them, and they're just creating this moment of tension, and it pops in a huge moment. And it happened twice, but it's
using the communication against them.
Yes,
Because
they have
not
to
a
do
lot
it
of other
so
teams
fast.
are good at passing that
No.
stuff off, but the Eagles are so quick to do it.
We're
We're live here, folks. We're live here. The Eagles are so quick to do it. This is just me talking with my hands.
Yeah.
That it's he's going. I mean, you
Yes.
can see the communication, and the Andy Reid took the Eagles' defensive rules and snapped them
Yes.
over his knee in this game,
Yes.
and it was very, very cool to
And
watch.
Even the one there was a little bubble pump to Juju Smith.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
So-
it was
so
amazing.
The play before, Sweat gets offside, so they call the play dead, and it was a split back look. So there's two backs on either side. They motion Juju to the flat or to the bubble, and so
they threw it to him.
and they threw it. They threw the bubble.
and it was called offside.
Yeah, and they called
they
offside.
saw them throw the bubble
Yes.
on that play.
Yes,
It's
and
not like they lined up; they
Right.
ran the play.
ran the play. He throws it. Everything. He was about to hand it off, and he was like, "Oh shoot!" And he throws the bubble. Him being Mahomes, and they call and when they come out, they break the huddle, and they come out the exact same formation. I
Yep.
even said, "I go, are they really going to run the exact same play?"
Yep.
Same motion. Everyone runs this. That's why it's kind of like you can kind of tell what's about to happen. And they ran a pump off of it, like a double move off of it,
So
and
what
hit the wheel route to Juju.
So what they did is they still ran the screen,
Yes.
but Juju was running down the left sideline, feigned blocking. We
Yes.
see the Eagles do this all the time.
all the time.
They run tons of.
I was
fake
waiting for them
screen
to run
shot
tonight.
plays. And the fact that the Chiefs did it on the very next play is just so like,
was awesome.
why? It's just Andy Reid bullshit. So we know that about the Chiefs.
Yes.
We're familiar with that version of the Chiefs. Andy Reid again, kind of snapping those rules
Yes.
and being able to manipulate the teams he's playing against. There were quieter, lesser known aspects of the Chiefs that were hugely important tonight. And I think it starts with the run defense. Okay?
Yeah.
The Chiefs run defense gave up the Eagles average negative 0.26 EPA per play on running back runs.
Which
This is the most
remarkable.
efficient running team in the league.
Mhm.
Negative 0.26 for context is bad. Okay. Those running back runs, 35.3% rushing success rate on those plays, 2.65 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Okay. It was not good.
No.
And the Chiefs up front were really, really good in this
Yes.
game. And I think I want to highlight both Nick Bolton and Willie Gay for playing some of the best football I've ever seen them play.
Yes. And man, they just had there was an RPO early on what the run game ties into this. Devontae Smith had a kind of like an extended play on the RPO.
Yeah.
And why no? At first I was like, they're going to call it legal. Man, whenever the quarterback doesn't throw right away to RPO, you're like, the flag's coming. I was like, man, there's no penalty. They didn't call that. And it was because the defensive line, the linebackers did such a good job of like swallowing up the double teams and doing everything.
And the reason that he was open is because Gay was filling the run.
And he was doing a great
right
job.
there, yes.
Again, like ad-libbing and taking advantage of actually really good ball from the defense. I mean, Bolton played phenomenal. Like, yes, he had a couple moments where they got him, but he did so many things today where he was just very astute on what the Eagles wanted to do.
He created a defensive touchdown, fumble recovery touchdown by himself.
Yes, just by being there. Yes, it's just going like, I know what you got. Oh, you're an empty. Oh, yeah, we know what you're about to do. How many times did they run that crosser play, usually to Boston Scott, on those third and extra longs? And there was a defensive player, usually Bolton, that just blew it up. And just
the thing that jumped out to me beyond how sound their run defense
Yes.
was, they tackled so well. How many times did they run that screen to
in the
AJ
second
Brown
half?
Where in the second half.
In the second
There
half.
was that one AJ Brown long play.
And there's a couple runs in the first, and that was it.
Half.
That was
in
it.
the second half,
Yeah.
they ran that slant to AJ Brown where Goddard would run off from the number 2 spot and Brown would run the slant behind it.
Yep.
At least 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Every single time, it's a gain of 5. It's a gain of 6.
The Goddard corner catch was on that play.
Yes.
Yep.
They're so often these plays where you're really hoping to get some yak, and the Eagles have Goddard Brown, guys that really do a great job of creating it. That just wasn't available to them in the second half. I thought the Chiefs tackled really, really well.
There was a reason that the Eagles had 18 third downs tonight. And that's because on first and second down,
they made him earn it on those.
If this was any other offense, the Eagles offense is so good. Again, watching them live, I have a new appreciation for how fast and explosive this offense is there's 18. When you see 18 third downs, that means you're not getting first downs on first and second down.
Exactly right.
And that was because the Chiefs were limiting to a lot of 2-yard gains, 3-yard gains. They would get some 4 and 5s in there, but none of them were gashes. None of them were, there weren't a lot of 2nd and 1s, it felt like. There was just a lot of 2nd and 7s.
Very rarely.
A lot of second
and
longs.
Even there were a lot of like second and 7s that would turn into 3rd and 2s because they were those quick completions that were getting shut down immediately. And so
what matters. They just add up. When they talk about the 1%, those things add up because it's cumulative over the game.
Beyond the on-field impact today for Bolton and Gay, I think it's also important to acknowledge what Bolton and Gay represent in the grander ecosystem of the Chiefs, right? So when you have Patrick Mahomes, and now you have Patrick Mahomes making $35 million a year, and you've got a couple other really expensive guys, in order to sustain a team like this, you need to get some hits.
Yes.
You need to make sure that those second-round picks are contributors for you, that they show up in these moments. And this team intentionally got very young on defense this year, very inexpensive. Bolton's on a rookie contract. Wigay's on a rookie contract. Josh Williams is on a rookie contract. Jalen Watson's on a rookie contract. Carl Loftus is on a rookie contract. John McDuffie's on a rookie contract.
Leo Chanel
on a rookie contract. And they came through. Like that. It's great to have Patrick Mahomes. It's great to have Andy Reid. It's great to have the best offense in the league. But there are other really good teams too. Eagles are fucking good. And you needed your defense to come through in some of those moments today for you to win the Super Bowl. And they did.
They did. They absolutely did. I know, actually, even though they gave up a lot of points and a lot of first downs and everything, I actually thought that the game plan for the Chiefs defense was very good. They started heating them up at the right times. There's a lot of clean, free runners. They were on top of their shit. Like just anything that they wanted to get to, they had. It seemed like the Eagles really had to get work for those plays, as opposed to usually it was just, we always say the Eagles just spam easy buttons. They made the easy buttons hard, which actually made me appreciate Jalen Hurts more because those easy buttons weren't so easy to get. So
talk about that free runner. Turning point in the game. Willie Gay comes off the edge untouched on a 3rd and 2. Hurts has to bail out of the pocket. That's that crazy Devontae Smith throw that almost happened that you're talking about. Hurts has to bail out of the pocket to the left, incompletion. Punt from a backup punter. Whose name I did not know before this game started. Backup punter, 35-yard punt away from the punt coverage. Kadarius Toney brings it all the way back to the 5. That's where the game changed.
Yes, it did. It was funny because Kadarius Toney, I could see the wall of Chiefs getting built. Again, end zone view is really great when you're watching it live. You can see the wall of Chiefs getting built to his right, and he was going to the left. I'm like, what are you doing? Because the punt forced him over there, and then he just circled back, and it was just, it was beautiful. Just a nice little wall down the sideline. But that's it. It was those plays add up. I mean, the strip sack or the strip fumble touchdown, because it came on a 3rd and 1 full start. That was going to be a sneak play. And then so it leads to 3rd and 6. So now they can't just run the sneak, so they can't, get it like a limited play.
That's a great point. Those are the 2 turning points. I would say that the punt return and then the third, Salomalo gets dinged for a false start. A 3rd and 1,
and they may have busted on the next play.
And 3rd and 6, and that's a huge turning point in the game. So I think both of those are absolutely worth pointing out. All right, we're gonna take one more quick break here, and then kind of talk about what's next for these teams, and then wrap up what was an amazing Super Bowl. Did you guys know that 52% of men over 40 experience some form of erectile dysfunction in their life? If you're experiencing ED, there's help. Roman is the digital health clinic for men. Roman offers genuine, FDA-approved medication for as little as $4 per dose. At Roman, there are no waiting rooms and no hassle. Just a straightforward and convenient digital experience, which means you can take care of all of it from the comfort of home. Getting started is simple. Just grab your laptop or mobile device and start your free online visit. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends it to your door with free 2-day shipping. Everything arrives in discreet packaging. Right now, Roman has a special offer for our listeners. Use this link to get 20% off your first order. Just go to ro.co/athletic today. That's ro.co/athletic for 20% off.
In 2020, there were more than 5 million car crashes. That's more than 15,000 a day and 600 an hour. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan, the official law firm partner of UFC. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion recovered for clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is so easy, it's more like using an app than hiring a lawyer. In fact, it's so easy, it's more like ordering takeout than hiring a lawyer. With Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to leave the couch. Just open up your phone and in 8 clicks or fewer, you're already done. If you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/maze or dial #law, #529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/maze, MAYS, or #law, #529, and pound is a hashtag from your cell phone.
This podcast is sponsored by Philo. There's nothing better than unwinding and watching a little TV, but not the hassle of finding what to watch on TV or the cost of paying for your crazy cable bill. If you love TV, Philo is your solution. Philo is live and on-demand TV for just $25 a month. If you can't get enough TV, there's no better way to watch. Philo has VH1, BET, A&E, AMC, plus more than 60 other channels like Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, Paramount, and Discovery. No contracts, no commitments, no hassles. It's just a better way to watch TV. Philo has an unlimited DVR for 1 year, so you can save all your favorite shows. You can watch them on your own schedule. Philo also allows for multiple profiles and multiple streams, so everyone in the house can save their shows and watch up to 3 simultaneous streams. You never have to pick or fight about what you're going to watch. Sign up today at philo.tv. That's philo.tv and use promo code MAZE to get 50% off your first month.
All right, let's talk about what comes next here. You know, it's, again, when you lose a Super Bowl like this with a team like the Eagles have, it's heartbreaking because you know this team is never going to be back together in its current form.
Yeah.
Even if you're excited about the core, and they should be excited about the core. So Miles Sanders is a free agent. We'll see what happens with Jason Kelce. His contract's kind of weird. You know, he's obviously deep into his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chance that Jason Kelce retires. Brandon Graham could very likely be moving on. Javon Hargrave is a free agent. Fletcher Cox, James Bradbury, CJ Gardner-Johnson. Some of these finishing strokes that put this roster over the top, they were short-term deals to get them to this moment. And now who knows what's going to happen.
And that's why how he gets those draft picks going.
Yeah, that's right.
that's why that kind of helps.
About this. The Eagles in a very good position.
Very good position.
Very good
position. Yeah, no, it's I really have liked this kind of discussions we've had. I talked about it already on the show about like the moving pieces of like a sustained success team.
Yeah.
And that's what was really cool though about this team, because we'll always remember this team with the sneaks, you know, just a very complete roster on both sides of the ball. Like this is one of the most complete rosters I've ever seen really in the NFL.
Well, it is.
It is. I mean, you see sometimes offense, they have a loaded offense and one good defensive player. And then, but this was just littered with all pros, littered with Pro Bowlers, littered with tangibly good players. I mean, just look at the defensive line for the Eagles. So again, I agree with you. That's it feels weird. It's like they're going to be fine, but also it's just kind of a little sadness, I think, because I was really starting to enjoy this Eagles team.
Think about the core that they have coming back.
Yeah.
Okay. Mailata signed long-term. Landon Dickerson's on a rookie contract. Lane Johnson will still be here. A.J. Brown, long-term move. Devontae Smith, long-term move. Dallas Goedert is signed to an extension. Josh Sweat is signed to an extension. Hassan Reddick will be here. Darius Slay is still under contract. I believe Marcus Epps might also be a free agent.
Okay.
He came on very strong this year, obviously. So they're going to have to.
He had a couple moments tonight that are really, really smart plays.
Somebody that absolutely was much better and much more important to this team than I thought he was going to be. So they're going to have to figure out the secondary and to retool that a little bit. Yeah. And then beyond what this roster looks like, coaches. I mean, by all accounts, it does sound like Shane Steichen is the leader in the clubhouse or the guy expected to get the Colts job. Thank God, by the way. The fact that's where they landed on, and it wasn't Saturday.
I know.
I think that I'm excited to see what he does as a head coach.
I agree.
Because I think that everything he's done, Shane Steichen's selling point when he was in these interviews for head coaching jobs, I could say with confidence, Your sell is I'm going to create an offense and create a way of playing that is built to the strengths of my players.
Yeah.
That is lip service for a lot of guys.
Balance.
Look at the Eagles over the last 2 years. It is not just a thing to say.
Right.
They've literally done that. They have shifted who they are offensively, what their identity is, what they lean on, depending on who their players are and what they do well. It's all you can want in an offensive coach in this era, in my opinion. And he has shown a distinct ability to do that.
And it shows an understanding of that. So especially if he takes that step forward as a head coach, that's what you want to see, because then he's going to oversee both sides of the ball and special teams as well. Special teams deserves a mention as well, especially for the impact it had tonight.
I can always count on you. I'm
trying to be good about it. I'm trying to be good. I feel like special teams coaches are permanently grouchy because of that fact, of like how we talk about them. But no, it's everything you want to see. You want to see that creativity. We both became really big fans of what the Eagles were doing on offense because of that adaptability.
Even last year.
That's what I mean.
Coming into the season, my thought about them was they were really in a box last year.
Yeah.
But what they did to get there and how thoughtful it was and how intentional it was and just the plan they had, it made me optimistic for what they could look like as they grew, as they got better players, as Jalen Hurts developed. And I think that's kind of what I've come to learn about how to project teams moving forward is like, okay, well, if they were good at this and they were flexible in this, then they can keep going, you know? And like even the Bears offense this year, like what they built around Justin Fields, it's like, okay, like I know when you actually get some receivers and you get some offensive linemen, like
the bones are good.
Yes. The bones are good.
Yep.
And we knew the bones of the 2021 Eagles were good. And then the quarterback gets a shitload better and they get a lot of really good players because their GM is a very proactive man.
It's like what Marvel does. They just take some low budget director and they're like, man, this guy's pretty good. And they give him a big budget movie. That's what basically the Eagles do in Station. I mean, he honestly would, because his background, it shouldn't look like this, how this offense looks. So the only play that from a Norv Turner offense, as I mentioned this many times, that's what his true background is. I mean, he's done a lot of coaches he's worked under. That touchdown to A.J. Brown. Yeah. That over route with the corner route, that is a big play action, big heavy 7-step concepts. The corner to Dallas Goedert. Those are the traditional types of plays. But he's sprinkling creativity. The run game is so creative. I know Jeff Stoutland has a big impact on that, but he has to be willing to call it and package plays together because they would go they get into empty. One last scheme thing. Sorry, guys. But they get into empty. They're killing plays. They're packaging those runs and passes together because they're beating them. They understand. We talked about Andy Reid breaking rules, understanding coverages. He's just as good. I mean, maybe not just as good, but he's very, very good at doing the exact same things and understanding what defense is trying to do. And that just shows he knows ball. That's the biggest compliment I can give him. He really does.
So they're going to have to figure out what the offensive side of the ball looks like. The nice part is you have an offensive-minded head coach who has called plays.
Yes.
So, and then Brian Johnson, their quarterback's coach, is somebody that other teams were talking to. You have hopefully a natural replacement within the building if he gets elevated to that role. And again, the ecosystem that you've created on that side of the ball, even losing your offensive coordinator, this team is potentially set up to survive that in a way that other teams might not be.
Right.
And then you look at, again, the underlying talent that they have and the resources that they have. This team has some financial flexibility next season, which I don't know how, but they have like $15 million in cap space with the team that they have. So we'll see if they can retain. Losing Hargrave is the one I keep going back to. Like his ability to dominate
he
one-on-one.
made a couple of big plays tonight.
It's just like that one is a little bit tough. So how can they maybe replace that? What does the defensive line rotation look like? Again, a lot of short-term bets, Linval Joseph and Dominican Sue. So some retooling needs to happen, but you have your offensive-minded head coach back, and you have a quarterback that it's hard not to be excited about who he was this season and what it means for them moving forward.
What you mentioned, and you said all these guys are under contract, the young guys, the Devontae Smiths, even the A.J. Browns, the Dallas Goederts, all these guys are under deals, Jordan Mailata. What helps is, again, it's that rotating cast, and that now they don't have to rely on like these certain guys. They have their building blocks. Literally, they're the building blocks of the team. So that kind of helps the transition period if there is going to be one. It depends, again, what they're going to do. The Hargrave call is a good one. You know, other guys are getting older, a couple of other offensive linemen, but it really is. There's a lot of just good things with this team, like just as far as what they can rely on. Playmakers. Yeah. I mean,
those guys are all back.
They're all coming back.
Yeah.
The big three for this offense are all coming back, and they can find another Zach Pascal. Like they don't need. There's no question about who's our second receiving option. Done.
Yeah.
And
you have one of the arguably the best second receiving option in the entire league.
Exactly.
Between Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, and this guy, a lot of good ones.
Yes.
We'll see what happens with the potential Jalen Hurts extension. It's one more cheap year anyway, though. They got one more year where they're paying him pennies and they can wield that in the way that they have so far. I think that puts them in a good position. And also, this team has the 10th pick in the draft.
Of course they do. Of course they do. I'll never get over when you said that they had the Saints second round of the next year or whatever it was. Yeah, that was the one.
You find $5 bills in your pocket. That's kind of how the Eagles
nice.
team building process
Everything
goes.
comes up Howie.
So you never know. There's no guarantees.
Right.
There are never guarantees. But if I was an Eagles fan, I'd be thrilled at how this season went. I'd be so optimistic about Sirianni and what he's built and just the feeling in that building, where the quarterback is right now, and what has driven a lot of this success, because I think you can rely on a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think the big question on the other side with the other team is, I guess we just started to hear some of the retirement whispers with Andy Reid, which is,
We did.
started trickling out a little bit today. I think it was Jay Glazer said that he might take some time to think about after this game. Andy Reid's in his mid 60s. He's got 2 Super Bowls now. So if this is potentially the last game we saw Andy Reid coach,
oh man,
I mean, he's legend, man.
He is
simply one of the greatest coaches of all time. And what a fucking note to go out on if this is it. What an incredible game. What a perfectly coached game on offense against a really good defense. I would be really sad to face an NFL without Andy Reid, but it's hard to do much better than he did if this is his final moment.
And just universally beloved. Not just people see the cheeseburger quotes and the jokes and the all the how about them Chiefs and all that. But honestly, he really is. He's a great guy. He really is. He kind of has been really fun to enjoy as a person. So it's I didn't know that. So I'm kind of sad now because I'm not ready for it. That's been my entire life. Is Andy Reid as a head coach, basically my NFL experience since the late 90s. It's Andy Reid as a head coach in some way, shape, or form. So that's sad. But man, you're talking about. You said this. We don't really see a lot of sustained success, and that's what's kind of nice. And the question marks is they still have number 15 though. They still have Patrick Mahomes,
and I'll be fascinated by what they do as an in-house candidate. Yeah, the enemy is looking at all these other jobs because he hasn't been able to get the opportunity. Right. I mean, I have no idea what will happen on that side, but
no idea.
They are set up because they have the best player in the league,
and he's under deal.
He was the centerpiece of their entire season, and he comes through and averages 0.42 EPA per dropback, which is better than he did in the regular season as the MVP in the Super Bowl against really.
He made a top 3 pass defense look like the Cardinals' pass defense in the Super Bowl.
In the
Super Bowl
again,
with 2 weeks of it. Oh my God, the field, by the way.
The field. We should talk about the field. It's frustrating that it's slippery and all that. Yeah. It's for both teams.
Yeah, it is.
So that's kind of my thing. Is that there were how many points scored in this game? What was the final score of the game?
Didn't really slow down anybody.
Yeah, there was a 70 combined points scored in the game. I feel okay about the way the game looked, even if the field was a little bit frustrating. But I think that's the kind of button I want to put on this. Coming into the season, you were so excited about the Chiefs. You were so optimistic about the Chiefs offense. I had my questions. Tyreek Hill, what is the transition going to look like? Even if we have a lot of faith in Andy Reid, we have a lot of faith in Patrick Mahomes. What is this team? Week 1, they come out and they just destroy the Cardinals.
Yes.
And in that moment, it's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
And guess what? Wire to wire.
Right?
Wire to wire. That was the team
ones.
that they were. They started on this field. They ended on this field. And they were the best offense in football with the best quarterback in football with arguably the best offensive coach, play caller, one of the best ever.
Yeah.
And that's what they were in the final moment. And that was enough for them to take home their second Super Bowl in 4 years.
It was. We'll see next year if I can predict the Super Bowl champ. But for once in my life, I did. I predicted the Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs, but that's really was. It was a bet on Patrick Mahomes and a bet on Andy Reid. That's what it was, as well as the offensive line. And a couple of those guys are coming back, or a good chunk. Who knows with Orlando Brown?
Yep.
But the interior is coming back. That's nice to have. And they have some pieces. They have some resources.
Young defense. We talked about all those guys that are on rookie contracts.
Tons of young players. They can, depending on how Travis Kelce's getting also another year older. But they had a great plan for him this year. So fewest amount of snaps he's played them since his first year starting. So they always had a plan with it. But that was my bet that Mahomes and Reid would figure it out with an offensive line.
Juju's a free agent.
Yes.
MVS's contract they can get out from under if they want to. Kadarius Toney is here now. They can kind of reshape the offense again this offseason, depending on what they want to
Sky
be.
Moore. I know. I know. They can drop another guy in. They can sign a free agent. That's when you have a quarterback that gives a boost effect with everybody else around him.
It changes the game.
It does.
It changes what you can do team building wise. It's a huge differentiating factor.
That they gave up no sacks tonight, and yes, the offensive line played really well. Mahomes was getting rid of the ball, and that's the thing. It's a boost effect not only just on the players, the receivers, but boosts his offensive line so that they're taking no sacks. That's what that guy does, and he's going to continue to do it, hopefully for another decade. I mean, I know I'm a neutral fan, so I can say that. I know other teams fans, AFC West fans, are kind of like, no, but that's what he is. He's always going to be that. So whatever happens with Andy Reid, you still have Patrick Mahomes, and that's a great place to be in the NFL.
All right, that's all we got.
That's all we got.
Good season, bud.
Great season. Another great season.
Thank you to all you weirdos that are watching right now and that
know.
have done it all season in this weird little setup that we have. Such a great time this year. I tweeted it today. Not even kidding. This is my 8th Super Bowl. Would have dreamed about this when I was a kid. Dreamed about it. And the fact that I get to do this every single year, it will never be lost on me. It's still cool. Still getting chills during the national anthem, and that'll never go away.
No.
And it doesn't have to be like this. We don't have to have this opportunity. It could have gone 10,000 different directions, and the opportunities, the chances, the breaks to arrive us in this moment, and for me to get the chance to do this with you and for all of you to listen, I'm truly grateful, and I just can't even tell you what it means to me. And we've had such a great time this year. I'm excited for the offseason. I'm excited for where the show is going, and I couldn't ask for more from you guys. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks, man. No, I agree. I'm literally watching confetti getting swept up right now.
Yeah.
I've been on the losing side of a lot of these types of games, so I've never been out on the field this long to see the confetti process after the game. But honestly, that's what it feels like this season. We have confetti all around me and Robert right now. It's been a joy this year watching, especially these videos that we do now. The live streams have been so much fun to see the feedback from everybody. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, buddy. Thank you to Beller and Kent and Alex. I mean, everybody that helps us out with this show. And honestly, it's been a fantastic season. I can't wait for draft season now.
Coming. So just a reminder to you guys, this will be out Sunday into Monday. Between the Lines, Tashawn Reid's series about just what it means to be black at every level of the NFL, executives, players, coaches. That's going to start for you guys on Tuesday within the feed. It's going to come out once a week, twice a week, a little bit later into March. It doesn't matter right now. It's going to be in the Athletic Football Show feed on Tuesdays here for the next 5-6 weeks. Please go check that out. We'll have Prospects to Pros on Wednesday. Rick. It's getting late. We'll have Mike and Randy on Thursday doing Football GM.
Rick.
You and I will be back on Friday, so we will have something coming to you later this week. And then we're coming to you every day in the offseason. Nothing is changing. We will be in your ears,
guys,
every single day. Combine's coming up soon, so there will be no breaks. Please keep checking out the Athletic Football Show. We really, really appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you soon.